Let me tell you something. Amber Graham drove 500 miles to meet a man she never met a day in her life. Just a voice in a headset, a stranger from a video game. Her friends begged her not to go. She took her 8-year-old baby girl and went anyway. Everybody who knew Amber will tell you the same thing. She would never leave that child. That little girl was her whole world. So when that baby turned up alone, walking down a road in Ohio, dropped at a fire station 500 miles from home, everybody knew something was terribly wrong. Only one of them made it back. And how the other one died? Nobody will answer that. Not the police, not the coroner, not the man they pulled out of that house. Stay with me, because the deeper you go, the less sense it makes. Welcome to Beyond Dark Cases. If you're into deep dive true crime that explains the why, hit subscribe, like, and comment. I post a new case every week. Let me back it up and tell you who Amber was, because that part matters. Amber Graham was 37 years old. She lived in Spring Hill, Tennessee, just south of Nashville, and by every account from the people who knew her, she was the loudest light in the room, full of energy, warm, the kind of person who'd care about you for no reason at all, care about you without you ever giving her one. She worked at a grocery store over in Franklin. Her best friend Cindy ran the place. So understand, that wasn't just her job and that wasn't just her manager. Those were her people. That was family. And they loved her. They told her so, out loud more than once.
Told her I had her back. I meant it. I always told her
It worked out.
that if anything ever happened to her, I would be the one to come find her.
Hold on to that, because it comes back around. But here's what the people close to her say. Amber was looking for love, the real kind, and she was having a hard time finding it where she was. One of the folks who knew her put it plain. She really just wanted love, and she was struggling to find it at home. So she did what a whole lot of people do now. She went online, put on a headset, picked up a controller, she played Call of Duty, and somewhere in that game, over the voice chat, night after night, talking back and forth through those headsets, she met a man. Now think about that for a second. This wasn't just typing messages back and forth. This was a voice in her ear. Somebody she could hear. Somebody who could hear her. Night after night. That's how you get comfortable. That's how a stranger stops feeling like a stranger. We don't know everything he told her, but we know she believed it. Her own mother said Amber knew this man and considered him more than a friend. She believed they were in a real relationship. Friends heard her talk about somebody named Matthew, and at some point, a plan got made. Amber was going to drive up to Cleveland, Ohio to meet him face to face, but she wasn't going by herself. Amber had a daughter, 8 years old, and I need you to understand something about the two of them, because it's the whole reason this story hits the way it does. That child was Amber's entire world. Her best friend said it flat out. Amber loved that little girl more than anything. That baby was the light of her life. Everything Amber did, she did for that child. Everybody says the same thing, same words, every time.
Amber loved that girl more than anything in the world.
So when Amber said she was packing up her 8-year-old and driving 500 miles to meet a man from the internet, a man none of them had ever laid eyes on, the people who loved her tried to stop her. Every single one of them. They sat her down. They told her, "We love you here. You have a family here. You don't have to do this." They were scared. They said it to her face. She went anyway, and for a little while there was nothing, just quiet. Then came the day Amber was supposed to be back. Back at work, back to her shift, back to the life she'd built in Tennessee. She never showed up. Now, let me tell you something about Amber Graham. She did not miss shifts. Ever. So when she didn't walk through that door, Cindy felt it in her gut before a single fact came in. Something was wrong. Then the phone rang. It was Amber, but not calling to say she was running late. She was calling to quit, just like that. Walking away from the job she loved, the friends who were her family went over the phone out of nowhere. Make it make sense. And then the call turned. A man's voice came onto the line, and he was angry. Cindy said he got on the phone screaming at her, screaming at Amber, saying Amber needed to quit her job, taking the whole conversation over. In Cindy's own words, he was really upset. He was screaming at me. He was screaming at her.
She had called work and tried to quit, but that's when he jumped on the phone and started yelling and kind of taking over and saying that she needed to quit her job.
That was the last time Cindy ever heard her best friend's voice. So that's where we left it. A man's voice on the phone screaming, telling Amber to quit her job. And then, nothing. Silence. Amber stopped responding. No calls, no texts. Nobody could reach her. And for the people back home, that silence got louder every single day. Because remember, this is a woman who never missed a shift, never went quiet, never dropped off the map. Her friend put it simple. She never misses a shift. No one can reach her. Last we knew, she was in Cleveland.
She never misses a shift. No one can reach her. Last thing we know, she was in Cleveland. So something's not right. She's supposed to be here at work.
So something's not right. Let me tell you something. When somebody who's always reachable suddenly can't be reached, that gap tells you everything. And this gap kept growing. Amber's family reported her missing. Her mother said the last real contact she had with her daughter was back in the middle of June. Think about that stretch of time. Days turning into more days, and a whole family sitting there with a phone that won't ring back. But while everybody was worried about Amber, nobody yet knew about the little girl. Here's where the timeline gets strange, and I want you to follow it close, because the pieces don't come out in the order you'd expect. Before Amber's body was ever found, before anybody knew for sure something had gone wrong, an 8-year-old girl walked up to a fire station in Cleveland, by herself. Fire Station 33 over on the west side, about a half a mile from a house on Bosworth Road. She walked in alone. The firefighters did what they're trained to do. They checked her over for injuries. And here's the thing, she was okay. Physically, she was fine. No signs of harm, nothing that worried them medically. Just a little girl on her own in a city that wasn't hers.
She didn't appear to have any signs of abuse or any issues physically or medically that they were concerned about. It's just the fact that she was by herself.
But she had something in her pocket, a phone number, and that number was for her grandmother back in Tennessee. Now sit with that for a second. A number for a grandmother 500 miles away, folded up in the pocket of an 8-year-old standing in an Ohio fire station. Somebody put that number there. Somebody wanted to make sure that if this child ended up alone, she'd have a way back to family. The firefighters called the police. The police called Child Protective Services, and that little girl went into the care of the state of Ohio. At that point, officials wouldn't even confirm whose child she was, but the people who loved Amber didn't need a confirmation. They knew. That was Amber's baby, and if that child was walking into a fire station alone, Amber would never allow that. Never. Not in 100 years. Which meant Amber couldn't stop it. Their friends said it plain. Having her dropped off at a fire station is just not something Amber would ever do.
Amber loved that girl more than anything in the world. Having her dropped off at a fire station is just not something Amber would ever do.
So now you've got two halves of a nightmare, and nobody's connected them yet. A missing mother in Tennessee, a lost little girl in Cleveland, and the people back home about to do the work the distance made almost impossible. Here's the part that'll stay with you. The police didn't find that house first. Amber's own people did. Cindy and her husband started searching, and all they had to go on was a stranger's video game name. That's it. The screen name of a man Amber met over Call of Duty. No real name they could trust. No address. Just a gamer tag and a whole lot of fear. But they worked it. They dug. Amber's friend even reached out to a Cleveland community page online, asking for help, laying it out. Our friend came here to meet somebody. We can't reach her. Does anybody know anything? And people in that group started looking. Folks who'd never met Amber a day in their lives put their eyes on it and helped narrow it down to a house they believed she'd been to. Let me tell you something about that. A woman disappears 500 miles from home and it's ordinary people. Her best friend, a husband, strangers on a Facebook page, piecing together an address off a video game handle. That's love doing what a badge hadn't done yet. They found the address, and they called the police. On the 3rd of July, officers and fire crews rolled out to the home on Bosworth Road for a welfare check, and the house itself told a story before anybody said a word. The place was falling apart, gutters hanging off the front, yard overgrown. Neighbors described it as rough, the kind of house you walk a little faster past. And the inside? One person who knew the conditions called it a hoarder house. There was so much garbage piled up behind the front door that crews couldn't even get in that way. They couldn't use the front door of the home, so they went around back. And behind that house, in the backyard, they found a woman's body.
News following a developing story now. A Tennessee mother is dead. Her body was found right here in the city of Cleveland. Now her friends and family are really desperate to find out what happened. And it looks like this may have all started with a video game. Catherine Huntley joins us live with the story. Catherine, what have you learned?
Yeah, I spoke to a friend of Amber Graham. She's that 37-year-old mother who was tragically found dead in Cleveland last week. Now, that friend tells me she planned to travel to Cleveland to meet a man she'd been speaking to through a popular video game. She also planned to bring along with her her 8-year-old daughter.
Covered by a sheet. The Cuyahoga County Medical Examiner identified her. It was Amber Graham, 37 years old. The loud, warm, loving woman who drove 500 miles looking for something real. She'd made it to Cleveland. She just never made it back out. So now they had her, Amber Graham, found behind a stranger's house 500 miles from home. And you'd think that's where the answers start. It's where they stopped. Because here's the thing nobody could tell her family. How did she die? The medical examiner couldn't say. They took the body. They ran the exam, and the cause of death came back. Open, undetermined. Cleveland police said flat out they were waiting on the medical examiner's ruling before they'd even decide whether to open a criminal investigation. Let me tell you something. A woman is dead in a backyard under a sheet, and the people whose job it is to explain it can't. Her friends said all they wanted was the autopsy to come back so they could get some kind of closure and just hope she didn't suffer. That closure never came.
We're waiting on the autopsy results to come back just so we can get that final closure of what happened to her. And we're just all hoping she didn't suffer.
Now here's where it gets even stranger, because this house wasn't done giving up secrets. Exactly 1 week after they pulled Amber's body from that backyard, they came back. This time, it was U.S. Marshals, Cleveland SWAT, deputy sheriffs, the whole thing. Tips from the public had led them right back to that same address on Bosworth Road. And inside, they found a man, 40-something years old, hiding, not just hiding, but tucked into a secret compartment he'd built into the wall, a hidden bench area in the wall. He'd been on the run for about 2 months. His name was Matthew Hensley, a registered sex offender going back years, wanted for failing to register his address. And friends of Amber's had mentioned a man named Matthew, the man she went to meet. But not one of them could confirm it was this man. Same first name. That's as far as it goes. So I need you to hear me clearly, because this is where a lot of stories would lie to you. Hensley was arrested at that house, but authorities have not charged him in Amber's death. They said on the record they had not connected the two cases. No charges. No stated link. 2 things. Same house. 1 week apart, and a line down the middle that nobody has crossed. So where does that leave us? A mother is gone, a little girl is safe, but she's in the custody of a state that isn't home, waiting to get back to the family who loves her. A man sits in a county jail on charges that have nothing officially to do with the woman found in that backyard. And the question that started all of this, how did Amber Graham die, is still sitting there, unanswered. She was a woman who wanted love. That's it. That's all she was reaching for. And she reached through a headset, into a game, toward a voice. The way millions of people do every single night without a thing going wrong. For Amber, it went wrong, and nobody can fully tell you why. 2 things. Same house, 1 week apart. Police say they haven't connected them. I laid out everything that's known. Now, you tell me. You pick the angle. That's the case. And like a lot of what we cover, it doesn't end with a bow on it. It ends with a question that somebody, somewhere, still needs answered. If this story stayed with you, do me a favor. Drop your take in the comments. You pick the angle. That's what this channel is for. Give it a like so more people see Amber's story. And if you're new here, subscribe to Beyond Dark Cases, where we bring light to the forgotten, the recent, and the ones still waiting on answers. Rest easy, Amber. We're not done asking. Until the next one, stay sharp and stay safe out there.